This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
I think NATO's making a very foolish mistake.
They've turned it into an unserious kind of a Christmas tree.
TSA did not show up to work.
If you're flying out of the Atlanta airport, you're too late.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
NATO on notice. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Mark Webster. Day 18 of the Middle East war. President Trump expressing frustration with fellow NATO members who are reluctant to get involved militarily in securing the Strait of Hormuz, where a fifth of the world's oil shipments pass off the coast of Iran.
I think NATO's making a very foolish mistake, and I've long said that, I wonder whether or not NATO would ever be there for us. This was a great test, because we don't need them, but they should have been there.
Trump says while the U.S. and Israel can continue to go it alone, he's making note of which NATO nations decline to help out when asked. Trump calls the SAVE Act and its national voter ID requirements one of the most important pieces of legislation Congress has seen in some time, but that doesn't mean it's going to pass. The Senate is debating it this afternoon ahead of a test vote. Even if it was solely about voter ID, passage would be tough. The likely addition of Republican amendments, including blocking men from playing in women's sports and outlawing so-called transgender surgery, make the road even tougher. Wyoming Republican Cynthia Loomis tells Fox News there are reasons the bill appears unlikely to get enough support.
It's because of the way that different states would be affected by the bill. And those challenges are not only apparent within the Democrat caucus, they're apparent within the Republican caucus.
Pennsylvania Democrat John Fetterman says those Republican amendments are too much for him to stomach, especially one that would bar mail-in voting.
They've turned it into an unserious kind of a Christmas tree and attaching all these other things to it, and now bashing mail-in voting. Absolutely, it's secure. Florida loves it and uses it. Ohio does too.
The Senate voted last hour 51-48 to open debate on the measure. How long that will go is anybody's guess. Congressional Democrats have presented to the White House their latest proposal for ending the DHS funding stalemate in exchange for immigration reforms, though whether that'll gain enough Republican support is doubtful. The public impact's been long lines at many airports, short-staffed TSA checkpoints. These flyers taking to social media to warn fellow travelers about the situation at Atlanta's busy airport this morning.
Long story short, TSA did not show up to work.
If you're flying out of the Atlanta airport and you have a flight this morning and you're not here already, you're too late. You're too late.
Here's what the acting head of TSA has to say about it.
As the weeks continue, if this continues, it's not hyperbole to suggest that we may have to quite literally shut down airports, particularly smaller ones, if call-out rates go up and we can't, a lot of these officers can't afford to come in.
As of this afternoon, no sign of a thaw in that frozen DHS debate. Liberty Counsel going before a U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals today in a case that will decide if Christian colleges have the right to only employ people who agree with their doctrine. Family Life Sarah Harnish explains.
Liberty Counsel founder and chairman Matt Staver will present oral arguments himself in the case of Zinsky versus Liberty University. Jonathan Zinsky, a former Liberty University employee, sued the Christian college after he was fired when he announced he was transitioning from male to female, a violation of the school's doctrinal statement. Implications of the case are far-reaching. Staver says no faith-based employer nationwide will survive if a single employee can demand the employer abandon its religious beliefs to conform to the employee's worldview. Sarah Harnish, Family Life News.
That one could well wind up with the U.S. Supreme Court, and that court has taken a number of controversial stances in recent years, ranging from abortion to same-sex marriage. Chief Justice John Roberts says that has come with some hefty criticism.
The problem sometimes is that the criticism can move from a focus on legal analysis to personalities. It's more directed in a personal way, and that, frankly, can be actually quite dangerous.
His comments at Rice University University in Houston coming just days after President Trump unleashed a lengthy criticism on social media, calling the Supreme Court inept and embarrassing for ruling that many of his sweeping tariffs were implemented illegally. Finally, if you're willing to pay extra, Amazon is now willing to give you delivery in as fast as 1 hour for certain things. The online retail giant rolling out 1 hour and 3 hour delivery options on Tuesday. Amazon says more than 90,000 items, including health and beauty items and over-the-counter medications, are eligible to be quickly shipped. The 1 hour option is live in hundreds of cities and towns across the country. Still to come here on the 5 o'clock report, a recap of our top regional stories and highlights from today's Mission Pulse feature.
I'm Kevin Williams, and here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. Our call for tonight: cold, very cold. Partly cloudy skies, a few flurries. Lake effect snow could deposit a few inches of fluff to the east and southeast of Lake Ontario, and perhaps an inch or two in a few spots southeast of Lake Erie, where they've also had, in localized areas, substantial snow. Low temperatures, upper single digits and teens tomorrow. A few morning flakes, otherwise clouds and some sun, high in the 30s. Thursday, mostly cloudy, chance of a bit of snow early, maybe a sprinkle in the afternoon. A high Thursday in the 40s.
Thank you, Kevin. Checking the stories making news where you live across New York and Pennsylvania. New York State Police plenty busy in the North Country today, on scene for hours at a pair of pileups in Oswego County, causing delays on I-81. First came word of a 20-car smash-up around 9 this morning near Watertown. But state police say whiteout conditions and high winds caused a second crash around 1:42 p.m. That in the town of Richland, involving 40 vehicles. That series of crashes still in play near exit 126 Pulaski. Southbound traffic diverted. Police are warning of major delays to continue on I-81 in Oswego County. WSYR with some reporters on the scene there.
Number of tractor trailers colliding too, creating big backups along the highway. At last word, all lanes on I-81 South at the Pulaski exit were closed so emergency crews could get to the scene.
And of course, a good idea to keep checking 511ny.org for the latest on those closures and when things will reopen. Nearly a dozen SUNY schools across New York will open child care centers soon for adult learners who are pursuing degrees in high-demand fields. One of those schools, Tompkins Cortland Community College in Dryden, New York. President Amy Kremenick.
Over half of our student population is what one might consider to be adult students, ages 25 and above. And so we know for many of our students what makes the difference between them being able to enroll, but also to continue in their classes and graduate.
TC3 is getting $200,000 from the state to accommodate a child care center. The SUNY Reconnect program offers tuition-free community college to adult learners who are pursuing degrees in high-demand fields. To qualify, applicants have to be between the ages of 25 and 55 and be a resident of New York State. Well, did you hear it or feel it? The boom this morning, just before 9 a.m., from a meteor that flew over northeast Ohio, picked up clearly on some Ring cameras in western PA. This guy heard it clearly and told Fox News it sounded like a big explosion, seconds long, causing businesses and homes to shake.
We heard that explosion, and even kind of felt it a little bit. I heard my window rattle just a bit. Amazing sound. Don't hear that every day, do we?
Yeah, hopefully not. NASA just confirmed it was a 17,000-pound meteor traveling 44,000 miles an hour. A meteor is a space rock that crashes through the Earth's atmosphere. If it lands, it's a meteorite. Scott Rudlewski, who is a lightning specialist with the National Weather Service, says detailed lightning maps showed an elongated flash and a couple of explosions over northeast Ohio. The meteor broke up about 27 miles above Lake Erie. Hershey Company announcing some significant changes to its current operating model, unifying its sweet, salty, and protein brands under one umbrella. No positions are being eliminated with the shift, though they did streamline their executive team. Some already have, and dozens of cities across New York and Pennsylvania will host their St. Patrick's Day parades this weekend in honor of the patron saint that brought Christianity to Ireland. WNEP caught up with Brian Gallagher, parade chair for festivities in Stroudsburg, PA, this Sunday.
Our biggest parade yet. We've got 138 entries. We've got 12 bands. We've got 2 bands on floats. We have 5 pipe bands. We've got 2 string bands, fire trucks and police, and all kinds of floats in between. It's just a great family day. It's free. We'd love to have you guys and show you how Stroudsburg kicks it off.
Yeah, hopefully the weather will warm up. The parade steps off at 1:15 p.m. Sunday at Stroudsburg High School. Up next, highlights from today's Mission Pulse feature.
This is Mission Pulse. We spotlight ministries making a difference where you live, across the country, and around the world. This week, we're spotlighting Chuck Holton with Frontier Forge Institute, a field leadership course for young men. Chuck, tell me more.
We need godly men, we need leaders, and there just aren't enough options out there for them that will intentionally train them in an environment that is built for the way that young men are hardwired. It's high adventure, it's exciting, you've got godly men who are mentoring them every step of the way. So the Frontier Forge Institute is a summer leadership program. It is a week-long program with an incredible cadre of men that will take these guys, get them off their screens for a week, get them out in the sun, doing manly work, splitting firewood and doing land navigation, and everything we do feeds into the biblical wisdom aspect. If you look back 100 years ago, young men, by the time they were 8, were out in the fields working with their dads and their grandfathers, and they were around the men. They were picking up what manhood is like. Most boys today are raised almost exclusively by women. They are spending an inordinate amount of time on various different digital screens, learning to interact with people through a virtual environment and not in a real environment until you get to the point where you're supposed to get married and have babies. And what we're finding is this subculture of young men who spend their time in their mom's basement playing video games, and they're watching tons of pornography and violent video games that give them this sense of free-floating anger at the world because I'm watching the most intimate of human experiences, but nobody will do that with me because I'm in my mom's basement playing video games all the time. And it's just this vicious cycle. And we've got to try to give parents and grandparents an outlet where they can send their sons to get away from the screens, get off of a digital realm for a little while, learn some real hands-on skills that will make them more valuable human beings, especially in a crisis, and will give them confidence and courage and will help them learn how to do that delicate dance of forming relationships in real life, face-to-face.
It's a tall stack to mentor teenage boys. How do you grow discipline, self-control, confidence under pressure? Although I think chopping wood and dumping them in a forest to find their way out definitely is a couple steps in the right direction.
You bring them together as a team and then you expose them to hardship. Good parenting just comes down to the constructive application of misery in your children's lives to produce character. I don't mean the destructive application of misery. I mean the very intentional, very careful application of things that are going to make your kids' lives harder in order to build character in them. Give them some room to run, and you raise your expectations of them to a point beyond what they even think they can accomplish. Then you're going to see some real progress in them toward manhood.
Learn more at frontierforge.org.
Thank you, Sarah. Highlights from today's Mission Pulse feature. You can hear the entire feature and all of our Family Life original news features at Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, and FamilyLife.org. This is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
St. Patrick is often remembered for shamrocks and parades, but his life tells a deeper story of generosity. Hi, I'm Rob West with the Faith and Finance Minute. Patrick was once taken captive and enslaved in Ireland. Years later, after gaining his freedom, he chose to return, not for wealth or recognition, but to serve the very people who had wronged him. Sound familiar? He gave his life, his comfort, and his future to share the gospel. Patrick understood that generosity isn't just about money. It's about surrender. He held nothing back, his time, his safety, even his reputation, trusting God as his true reward. Like Patrick, we're invited to live open-handed lives, giving freely because we trust God fully. Get biblical answers to your financial questions in the Faith Fi community. Download Faith Fi, Faith and Finance in your app store or visit faithfi.com.
Thank you, Rob. Still to come here on the 5 o'clock report, a reminder that it's not what job you do so much as how you go about doing it. First, weather with Kevin.
Hi, I'm Kevin Williams, and here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. Got a cold night tonight. Hug your honey warnings are up. For this time of year, impressive chill. Readings into the teens, single digits in the valleys, and lake effect snow will still be a factor east and southeast of Lake Ontario primarily. It's a quieter pattern tomorrow, and with a little less wind and chill, it'll be a little more tolerable. That's a good trend. Our call for tonight, though, cold, very cold. Partly cloudy skies, a few flurries. Lake effect snow could deposit a few inches of fluff to the east and southeast of Lake Ontario, and perhaps an inch or two in a few spots southeast of Lake Erie, where they've also had, in localized areas, substantial snow. Low temperatures, upper single digits and teens tomorrow. A few morning flakes, otherwise clouds and some sun, high in the 30s. Thursday, mostly cloudy, chance of a bit of snow early, maybe a sprinkle in the afternoon. A high Thursday in the 40s.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Finally at 5, we revisit Galveston, Indiana's Alan McCloskey, who has finally retired as the local gravedigger. In 1952, he was asked to fill in for a week at the local cemetery, a job he then proceeded to do continuously for the next 73-plus years. That's a world record. A little while back, he sat down with CBS. As you can imagine, doing that sort of job that long, he helped bury a lot of folks, some of them very close to him.
People that I went to school with and worked with.
What was your hardest one?
My wife.
How'd you get through that?
I figured she'd want me to do it.
His record run in a job few would want to do at all is impressive enough, but it doesn't tell his whole story. You'd be hard-pressed to find a more loved man in that whole town.
He's out there to help everybody.
That's what he's known for.
He just always has been.
It's the cloth he's cut from. Just a special guy. Very special guy.
All that love is because Alan has spent his life using his hands and that backhoe to do a lot of work for folks, always for free.
We'd ask Alan for a bill, and he wouldn't give us a bill.
Never get a bill. I'll send you a bill.
He said, I'll just catch up with you later.
And then you never hear anything more about it.
One good friend says along the way, Alan unearthed an important truth.
Alan has figured out what life is about. It's not the money that makes him happy. I truly believe Alan has figured out where enough is at. He's found enough.
A good life lesson from Galveston, Indiana's Alan McCloskey. And that's the world we live in for Tuesday, March 17th, 2026. Thank you again for joining us. I'm Mark Webster, Family Life News.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.